Hey everyone, welcome to my drawing stream. I'm Sarah, and tonight we are going to be drawing a peacock feather and candles. Okay, so first let's do some housekeeping things. I just realized I am not on Discord, so give me a minute. And get on the Discord stream chat. You can see right here I just showed up there. That is because I am now live in Discord, and if you join my Discord and join the stream chat, you will also be live with me. Right here is the Discord address, but that is not a link. So you'll have to either type !Discord in the stream chat, or if you click on my name, go to the About tab. That will there should be a button there that says Discord, and you can join from there. So everyone is welcome. So I encourage you to join. Okay, so the second bit of business is that I want to show you, if you join the Discord, another thing that you will get is the reference photo for today. So I'm just going to pop over to Discord and show you what I'm talking about. So as you can see here, on the left, and we've been joined by Queen Bee. Welcome. That's Molly. So over here on the left, you'll see information, like different channels. Art Crit is where we post any drawings that you've done. It doesn't have to be just what we've done in the class, but it could be your own artwork. So you can see that someone, we have Tentacles here that has posted his own artwork. Reference photos, which is what I want to show you, is where you can find the picture that we're going to be doing for the day, for the class. So this is what we're doing today. If you want to make this even bigger, you can click Open Original. It will open it in your browser, and it should be a much larger file so you can look at things more closely. I try to get those posted every class that I do. I try to make sure that that's posted there. Okay, so there's that. Just Chatting is where you would post anything that basically is not artwork, or like you can't actually post in the reference photos, but anywhere that's not artwork or crochet related, then you would post in Just Chatting. That's just, whatever. Hey, what's going on? You can post other kinds of pictures, whatever. This is the class calendar that it actually takes you, it's a link, but this takes you to my calendar, which will show you what upcoming classes we've got if you want to see exactly what we will be painting or drawing. And then I have a mature art folder that is blocked to most people. You have to be 18 or older to be in here, and you also have to ask special permission. So all you have to do is just send me a DM if you would like to join that, and we will talk about it. Okay. Also, if you want to join the voice channel, you just click on Stream Chat, and as soon as you click on it, you're going to be connected. So that is Discord. Okay. Hello, Teacher Margot. Is that you or is that Molly?
That's me.
Okay. Hello, Molly. Welcome. All right. So really quickly, we're going to go through the supplies and then we're going to get started. So first things first, notice I've got this fancy dancy, pencil set. This is called the Gioconda. It is made by Koh-i-Noor brand. These are excellent pencils, and I highly encourage you to get this set, but it does run about, I think, $35 or $40 in the US. So it is rather expensive, but why I like it is it has 2B, 4B, and 6B in graphite, and then it has 3 levels of lead colors, and then it has 2 charcoal pencils. Then it also has these sepia tone chalk pencils. Which is really handy because like tonight we're going to actually be doing some shading. Now you can use a number 2 pencil, which is an HB. And if you look at any number 2 pencil, it should have, let me see if I can get that to where you can see it. Nope, it is not. But there we go. There's a little HB. And Victor, welcome. There's a little HB there. And that means that it's right in the middle between the B. Remember I told you there was 2B, 4B, 6B. HB is right in the middle between the B scale and the H scale. H stands for hard and B stands for bold. So your B pencils are softer but darker, and your H pencils are harder but much lighter. And so a lot of times H is used in drafting for like architecture, or it can also be used for illustration if you want light pencil marks where you might go in and ink later. So I also want to go ahead and apologize for my voice. I've been having some, I don't know, my vocal cords, I can feel like some swelling. I went to the beach yesterday, got a little sunburn, and usually that kind of affects my overall health for the next couple of days. So if my voice is kind of scratchy, that's why. Okay, I'm going to be using these pencils. However, I'm going to make sure that you know what you would be doing differently if you were only using a number 2. You should only have to use a number 2 pencil for this. Now, if you want to add color, because we do have color in some of these, I recommend that you grab some colored pencils. A brown and a red would be fine, or if you want to do whatever colors you want, you can. Okay, I do like to have, despite the fact that your number 2 pencil has an eraser on it, these usually don't last very long, so I recommend going ahead and getting some additional erasers. I also like to keep a pencil sharpener, which I buy from beauty supply stores because they're made for wax pencils, so they're a little sturdier and last longer. This set comes with a spreader, which is handy because you can smooth and spread into little corners because it's pointed. And then it comes with a kneaded eraser, which is very handy for if you want to erase little tiny things. So you can like mold it to exactly the shape you want. So there we go. That is our drawing supplies. I'm going to be using these mostly so you can see them show up because my lighting is such that if I use a number 2 pencil, it's not very dark. Okay. I'm using a Strathmore drawing pad, which is 70 pounds weight. I do like drawing paper versus sketch paper because it's heavier weight. So it doesn't press through as much. Okay. So today's drawing is going to be in the portrait orientation. Portrait means up and down. Landscape would be side to side. You've probably seen those exact words in your printer, and that is what that means. Portrait is just vertical. All right. Anybody have any questions before we get going?
No.
Not yet.
Bueno. Let's get started. Okay. So I'm going to start with a 2B pencil, and I'm going to start by doing 3 ovals. So my first oval, I'm going to put, I always try to find where the middle of the page is. So approximately where the middle of the page is. And then I never put, like when I'm doing landscapes and stuff, I don't ever make the middle of the page my horizon because it's boring. There's some rules in design, and centering things is against the rules almost always. So keep that in mind, like when you're taking photos, things like that. You always want things to be shifted, like maybe to the side and down a little bit. You don't want to center, even people. Like if you're taking a picture of your friend standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, well, the Eiffel Tower is huge, right? So you would want your friend in the bottom corner, not centered, because A, you wouldn't even get the entire Eiffel Tower, but also it's just boring. So create visual interest. All right, so I'm finding the middle of the page, and then I'm going to come down just a little bit, and I'm going to do my first oval. So this is going to be our... if you look at the reference photo, this is like a vase. And then we're going to do 2 smaller ovals. One is actually going to kind of align with this oval we're going to have, because it's going to be in front. So smaller oval. And then we'll do another one that also kind of overlaps. Like see how they they cross each other a little bit. What this also is doing is it's bringing the focus slightly left shifted so that there's some blank area over here. Again, this creates visual interest. Now you don't want too much space because, in fact, I could probably bring these even farther down, but I'm not going to. You don't want too much space because then it ends up being blank space, and blank space can be very boring. But in this particular case, I think this is what we're going to do. I'm just following the reference photo as well. Okay, so here we're going to actually make these cylinders. So we're going to do our first cylinder by basically adding some straight lines coming from the sides. And then you're going to do a smile at the bottom that mimics the smile here, like mimics this curve. Like that. And we're going to do another one here, but this one is going to actually stop right behind that. And this one's going to actually be a little bit taller too. But we're still going to mimic that curve. All right, now this vase is a little bit tricky. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to actually, to get the shapes that we want, we're going to do a large oval that's definitely more rounded. And I'm just sketching it on. And you can sketch it pretty lightly because we'll be erasing out of that. So there's one oval. And then we're going to do an overlapping oval that is slightly bigger. And you can go ahead and overlap into your cup there. So this is like an egg, shape of an egg. So here's our ovals. Now what we're going to do, and I want to even out this shape at the top so that it's more, it looks the same as the other side. Because I drew it kind of haphazardly. Always blow, don't wipe when you're doing erasures, because you can smear your drawing, especially as we get into like charcoals and things like that. So right now I'm just using 2B for those of you who do have pencil sets. 2B graphite. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do some little curves like that. That's going to actually curve into this bigger shape on both sides. And in fact, I didn't do enough of a curve over here, so we're going to curve that just a little bit more. All right, and then we're going to do it again. This time we're going to curve in first and then back out. So we're giving this a body. Now I put a little bit less of a curve on mine than on the original reference photo. So you are welcome to go further in. I prefer mine to be a little bit more squat looking. So I didn't go nearly as far in. I might go a little bit farther on this side though. For some reason my right side is not it's not mimicking the left side as well. And that happens when you're trying to mirror things. One side is always going to be slightly less mirrored than the other. All right, I'm going to erase out the reference lines that we drew inside of this. So we can really get an idea of our overall shape. already see that I had some interesting lines that weren't working how I wanted them to. So that's better. Okay. Now, if you have it, you can use a 2B graphite stick like this. I believe Molly has one. And you can just lightly shade in behind. Oops. And I've got some eraser bits. You can lightly shade in behind. If you do not have that, what you're going to do is you will just lightly take your 2B pencil or your number 2 pencil, and you will just shade like this. What will, and I'm just like very lightly at probably about a 30-degree angle, just letting my pencil kind of move back and forth. I am not pressing hard at all on this. And what we're going to do, we're going to end up blending this. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but we are giving ourselves a background. Now, I'm going to press a little bit harder as I get closer to the objects so that it gives it a little bit of a gradient. Gradient meaning values that flow from dark to light. Let's see, and we need to set ourselves, I got a little bit inside here. We need to set ourselves a table line. I'm going to put my table line probably right about here. And I'm just going to imagine, you can always use a straight edge of some kind if you want to make sure that it's exactly on the other side, but you don't have to. You can just kind of imagine drawing right through. Okay, so I'm going to keep shading. So I allowed it to get a little bit darker towards the bottom. And that's just going to create some visual interest. Just make sure you do it in all of your nooks and crannies here, that it gets darker where you got darker in the other areas so that it's consistent. Be careful when you're doing short strokes. Short strokes is very easy to press down, but you're doing it light enough so even if you accidentally go over your objects, you can easily erase it out because we're not doing very heavy lines. So it erases pretty easily. In fact, we won't even erase it yet. We're going to blend it first, and then we'll erase. Okay, so I've got everything in here. I'm going to use my blending stick, but you can also use your finger. I can just smear with your finger, but because this gives me quite the edge, and I recommend you get these. They are usually a couple bucks at like a Walmart or something like that. They sell them in packs. I know Amazon sells them, just like a 2-pack or something like that. Oh, what's interesting is as I'm doing this, something is coming through that I've drawn on another day, where I can see like the slight white marks where it's something is showing. It's kind of like that trick that you see in old detective movies where they go up to the pad of paper where it's been ripped off and then they just smudge it, and then you can all of a sudden you can see the address that was written on there before, or whatever it is they're looking for. Well, I can see whatever it was I did before, and this looks like the horse that we did last week. Okay, so now I can go ahead, since I did all my smearing, I can go ahead and take out, like clean up the vase and candles. All right. Okay. Now, for the part down here, we're going to do the same thing. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Well, I guess we'll do the same thing, but there's going to be some areas that we make darker than others. First, I would like to, we're going to give a little bit of a base to our vase. And all we're going to do is down at the bottom of the vase, we're going to do a little line, follow the smile as it goes around, and it's going to end past the candle, so you don't have to worry about ending it. But so we're giving it like a little bit of a base. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and start filling this in. You can make the back of your table a little bit darker so it shows that there's something new starting there. And this time we're going to work lighter. We're going to do the opposite. We're going to start dark and then work lighter. Now, once we smear this, we're going to be erasing out around the candles because the candles are going to be reflecting light this way. But we'll do that later. Right now, we just want to get our ground laid. We're also going to go in and make it darker behind the vase and like right at the edges of the candles to show shadows, which we're also not doing right this second. I might actually do the reflections. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. I'll keep you informed. Mostly because you're taking the class, so you're going to know at the same time as I do of what I decide to do. The edges are the worst, like where you have to shade over the edges. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shade everything in. So we're giving ourselves a background, but it's also creating some edges for us. And remember, edges is where you don't necessarily draw the line, or it doesn't look like there's a line drawn. It looks like it just goes right up to a space. Let's see. And clean up these down here. Okay. Okay, if you have the kneaded eraser, you can use that. If not, you can use your regular eraser. What we're going to do is we're going to take our, this is a reflective table. So we're going to take our kneaded eraser and starting out a little bit, because we are going to have shadow right up close to like where the candle is. But starting out a little bit, we're just going to start making that candle shape. It's almost like doing a reverse shadow. Any new viewers that are on, if you are watching and you would like to join the Discord, notice up here, I've got 3 of us on here. Everybody is live, so they can all talk. If you guys want to say hey. See? So I think that if you would like to join, all you have to do is join my Discord. You can put !! Discord in my stream chat, or go to this link here. Well, it's not a link, but this address here, and you'll instantly be joined to my Discord. Okay, so we're going to do this other one. And what I'm doing is I'm not going all the way up to like I'm leaving a little bit of a dark line. I'll hold that up so you guys can see. See, I'm leaving a little bit of a dark line in between. But I'm trying to go all the way to the edge of where the candle is. Okay. Now we can use our spreaders to shade that later. There will also be very slightly less, don't erase out as much as you did from this, but very slightly, there's going to be a little bit of reflection coming from this vase as well. Oops. It's considerably less, and we're going to fill it back in with a spreader, but I wanted to, it is important that this also have a little bit. So I'm going to actually fill that back in with my spreader. If you have a finger, you can just, just move your finger around on it. And that will just darken it just slightly to where it's not as dark as these. And this you can actually create a little bit of a line if you want. I'm using my spreader to create that line. There. Okay. So now we have our reflection in the of all of our objects. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead. I'm going to grab my 2B pencil again. And we are going to go ahead and start our peacock feather. All right. So first things first, we're going to do an arch. And we want there to be a little bit of space above our peacock feather where we can have the feathers kind of come up and go around it. So what I'm going to do is starting at this the bottom part of the vase, because we would see the peacock feather go into the vase this way. On the sort of the right hand side, I guess, of the vase, we are going to arch up a peacock feather. And I'm going to stop it right there because I want to give some room so that it can go up above. Now, we are going to, from this line, we're going to do a teardrop shape. And actually my teardrop shape might have been a little bit too big, but that's okay. That, you know what? I'm not going to worry about that because that can end up being one of the peacock hairs later. All right. And then right at the top of this, we're going to do it like a little upside down V. And then like a lily pad shape. This is slightly elongated. This is going to be black, so don't worry if you mess up the lines a little bit. Okay. I'm just rounding my little Pac-Man mouth there. All right, now, if you are using a pencil set, use your darkest pencils, so either like 6B, 8B, something like that, or if you happen to have the pencil set, you're going to use a silky black 1. If you're using this pencil set, a silky black 1. If you're using a number 2 pencil, you're just going to press down a little bit harder. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw on this shape We're not going to go all the way to the top. We're going to let off right as we cross over the line there. And you can darken that again if you need to. Right as we cross over the line. Just kind of zoop, just let it go. Then we're going to fill in this entire little lily pad here. All right. If you have the dark sepia pencil, then do this. If you don't worry about it. You're going to, if you have this pencil, this is like a chalk pencil, you're just going to trace over this line and you're going to fill in on top of the black that you just did. And then you can use your spreader to kind of smooth it out. Okay. Now, going back to our 2B pencil, we are going to draw another oval around our lily pad. It's going to be fatter at the bottom and it's going to thin out at the top, like it's going to get closer to the lily pad at the top, but it's going to be fat at the bottom. So here, I'll finish this so you can see what I mean. See how like down here there's a lot more space underneath the lily pad, and then above it gets a little bit closer to it. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to have lines coming from on either side. So we'll come up this side, little tiny lines that extend from the stem. And they're just slightly at an angle. And they should be relatively even, but you still want to be able to see the lines. I'll hold that up so you can see. I actually have a couple here that could be filled in even more. There. Okay. Now we're going to take, this is where you would use, if you have a colored pencil, you would go ahead and use that. For those of you who have this set, you can use the red chalk pencil. We are going to create another oval. Now this time it's going to be thinner at the bottom and it's going to get really tall at the top. Like a big egg. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we are going to take right at the edge of like where those little lines were, and we're going to continue all the little lines we drew. We're going to continue them out. So you basically just try to see the lines you drew and continue drawing them out. my pencil needs to be sharpened. Now, if you're using like a red colored pencil or something like that, get like a brown colored pencil or something that's slightly darker. And we're going to do little tiny just zigzags going all the way around, which just the outline of it. And this is like, it's basically like scribbling back and forth. But this is like the light, tiny light feathers that appear on the peacock feather. But I'm just zigzagging back and forth. And then when it gets to the bottom, you can just kind of smooth it out a little bit. By the way, if you have this set, I was using the sepia light to do that. Okay, so if you have a 4B pencil, we're going to use a 4B pencil to do the outer balloon. Now my outer balloon got a little bit too close on this side, so I'm going to just even that out a little bit. Then you're going to continue these lines even further out. Now, I'm kind of making some up just to fill it in so that it doesn't look so sparse. But these can be a little bit farther apart. All right. I'm also going to do some of the same zigzags. I'm going to do going around the outside of that, of the line we just did. And the zigzags definitely get taller towards the top. I don't know if I did that with my brown. I don't think I did. I can go back in and fix that. I'm going to make my, oops, I'm going to make my zigzags kind of taller towards the top. Okay. I also want to go do little zigzags, just little ones around this inner part. So we've got the beginning of the peacock feather. Now, the really interesting part of the peacock feather is going to come from the outside parts, the wispy parts. So I'm going to actually, yep, you have a question, Molly?
No. I was just excited.
Okay. I didn't know. It was pretty cool, huh? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is quick, before we do this, I'm going to use, you can use your darkest pencil, use like either your 6B or the Silky Black number 3, or just...
Which one should I use?
Silky Black number 3, because you have that. And we are just going to lightly draw some lines that go the entire distance, that go like the whole way. And this just connects those 3 sections. And they don't have to be close together. Here, in fact, I'm gonna show you. So like I did a line here and a line over here, but see how they're not right up next to each other like the other ones were. All right, then we're going to take our brown pencil. If you're using a colored pencil, just do it this way. If you're not, if you're using your number 2 pencil, just stick with your number 2 pencil. And we are going to create some wavy lines coming from the top. Now, these lines, I'm going to start with the ones right at the top, are going to kind of go in different directions, but they're all going to kind of point in just slightly. So let's see. And some of them can cross over each other or go outside. And they're going to gradually, as you go down, they're going to get shorter, but they're not actually getting shorter. The lines are the exact same length, but because you're coming down the side, they're going down with you. That. And I'm going to do it on the other side. Maybe come down one more. There we go. All right, so those are our first lines. Okay, so we're going to trace over these lines with the very tip of our spreader. If you are using your finger, I would not. I would not risk using your finger for this. But if you have a spreader, because we want these to look smooth, but if you use your finger, it's going to smear it everywhere. So unless you have something that has a point, I would not recommend trying to smooth these. If you're doing this with, you have to blow when you're, what I'm using is a kind of chalk. And so it gets little chalk dust everywhere. I actually want to make a little longer. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to continue to create more filaments. However, what we're going to do is we're going to start further down, and they're going to be long. Here, I might have one more here. So it's going to start down here and come up the side. Like that. And these do start, like you know how sometimes you stagger? These do actually start in the same place on each side. And they're going to be farther apart. And some of them might cross over others. So this one might maybe bends this way, but the next one comes up. And I'm just letting them be kind of very long S's. And they're going to continue down into the pot. So let's see, on this side. Okay, here I'm going to have one that crosses kind of this way. And then I'm going to do a couple that are coming from the inside that are going to be smushed up against each other because this is leaning against the pot. Like that. See, it looks like it's kind of pushing the feather. All right, so we're going to smooth these if you can. You could probably get like a paper towel and put it around the bottom of your pencil. Like kind of double it up a little bit. Put it around the bottom of your pencil. And you could probably do this. Yep, that works. So that's another way you could do it if you don't have a spreader. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. Pretty brilliant, if I must say. You know. So you're just doing very light lines here. We're going to be going over these lines with some other colors. But this just kind of softens it a little bit so they look a little bit more feather-like. Okay. Now we're going to take our Silky Black number 2 pencil. If you have your bees, I would do a Probably a 4 or a 6B. But if you have the silky black pencils, if you're using a number 2 pencil, you don't need to worry about this. Well, you can use this if you were using a colored pencil. But what we're going to do is just on the tips, we're just going to go in with that black. So we're not going all the way down to the stem, just on the tips. And you can go either way you want. You can go start from the middle. I like to start on the inside because then I get a wispier line going to the outside. Because you can just pick up your pencil. But we're just doing the tips here. And the higher I get, I do smaller amounts of the tips. Because of course the feathers themselves are smaller. Okay. Oops. That one went a little bit over. That's okay. All right. All right, now I'm going to additionally take the red chalk pencil. So if you were using a like a colored pencil or whatever, then grab that. And just at the base, I'm going to do some red. We're going to be blending these all together. So I'm just going over my brown with some red right at the base. All this does is it's just going to give us some visual interest to our peacock feathers to show that they do actually change color as they go up. So up here you don't really have to do it, but you can do like a little bit if you want, just at the very base. Okay. And actually I'm going to grab my 6B pencil and I'm just going to do some darker lines here at the bottom. Okay. Now we're going to smooth. We're going to blend these. So blend, blend. We're spending quite a bit of time on this peacock feather, but let me tell you, the peacock feather is kind of the main event here. I mean, this is what people's eyes are going to be drawn to. I mean, the candles are like, meh, you know. But the peacock feather is usually what people are drawn to, so you want to spend a little more time on that. You know, you don't want to rush it. Here. Okay. Now, if you have your brown, if you have like a brown colored pencil that you've been using, we're going to use that in the this area here. If you have the sticks here, then you can use, let's see, you want the one that says, I'll have to find the number. It's the sepia dark. Oh boy, my eyesight. 8804. So you want the one that says 8804, which none of them say that. Okay, well, it's the darkest one. I mean, if you look at the three colors, it's the one that's the darkest. All right, I'm going to use the pencil so you guys can see. I'm still going to use the sepia dark, but I want you guys to see what it would look like if you use the pencil. All right, so first things first, we're going to fill in, and you can draw right over your peacock feathers if you want to. But we're going to actually do a circle within the circle. And then we'll also we're going to outline just the bottom of that outer circle. Because here's what's going to happen. We're going to actually create a rim using edges. I'm going to just really lightly come out here and just kind of lightly outline that, but I'm not going very hard because we're going to be just smudging it later. All right, so down here we're going to outline this side. Come all the way down to about there, like right before it touches the candle. We'll outline this bottom, and that could go all the way across. And then I'm going to go ahead and outline this other side. All right, so up here at the top, we are going to do like it's going to be like a kind of a quarter moon of sorts. I'm going to fill that in so you can see. You see, it's kind of a quarter moon. Okay. Then here, what we're going to do is we're going to have very, very lightly, we're going to have kind of a circle here and a bigger circle here. But just very lightly, like hardly sketch that in. Starting over here, we're going to start dark. And actually, this can be dark, the whole thing can be dark across up at the top. But we're going to start dark, and then we're going to gradually get lighter as we get to the edges of those circles. So I'm starting with like a heavier pressure, and then I'm lightening my pressure as I get close to it. See how I'm lightening that? And I'll go around the circle and keep that same light pressure. Now this is chalk, so it's going to be a lot easier to get it to do this. Keeping that same light pressure. I'm just letting it get lighter as it gets close to there. Now here, it's going to stay dark into the center just a little bit. Because it's going to curve around each of these ovals. Very dusty. There. All right. Now I'm going to use my sepia light and I'm going to come in and just lightly go over this area here and come down into it a little bit. Just a little bit. And we'll leave like kind of a little bean of light. Now, if you're using colored pencils, I would maybe use a different color, especially if you have one that's slightly lighter version. If you don't, you can use the same colored pencil, or you can use your number 2 pencil, or like a 2B, to kind of get the same effect. All right. Then we're also going to fill in up at the top and around that rim. Now, you can leave some of the rim light. Because we're going to have, and you can always erase out if you accidentally went over it, but we're going to leave some of it light because that's where the light would be hitting it. All right, now I'm going to take my spreader and I'm going to fill it all in. If you were using the sepia dark and light, it's going to be very chalky. So you'll have to blow from time to time. I can hear Molly must be using them.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you blowing. So as I get closer to the center, I try to ease up a little bit with the spreader and not go quite so heavy. And you can let it kind of go over your line a little bit to where it's like with your dirty spreader. Now, I intentionally haven't done the bottom yet. So I'm just lightening up my pressure. I'm just letting it kind of go over those lines. I'm going to let it go inside the glass here too. Don't go too far down on the glass though, because we're going to have candle that'll cover some of that. Oh, I didn't fill this in up here. Okay. Now for this base, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of come in with a little bit of some strokes from the left side with the dark. And then some strokes with the lighter side, the lighter color. And then we're going to take our kneaded eraser or your regular eraser, and we're going to erase the line that connects the bottom part with the vase, because there's going to be a little bit of reflected light down here. See, and I actually want to make this right above that reflected light. I want to make it darker, so I'm just coming in with my spreader and just really putting some pressure there. This is why it's so handy to have a spreader. There really should be reflected light at the bottom, but I'm not going to worry too much about that right now. All right. So we got our vases done, or our vase done. Okay, now if you have another colored pencil, like your red colored pencil, like what you were using up here, we're going to use the red chalk. And what we're going to do is we are going to create a candle line. Let's see, my candle line. It's going to be that smile. And let's see, where do I want to put it here? So you just create a smile there. All right, so it's going to be darker on the sides and the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade across the sides and the bottom. Same thing on this side. We're just getting our dark color in there first. Okay, then we're going to just do some light lines coming up from there. Just to shade that in. You can come into the glass just a little bit. All right, now right towards the bottom, we're going to do just slightly darker. And that will like give us like kind of that gradient, like fade. It comes up a little bit on the sides. Okay, and we're gonna, let's see, before we blend, we're going to use the Silky Black number 2 or number 6B or your trusty number 2 pencil, and we're going to create a little zigzag line going across here, and this is
Which
like
Silky Black?
number 2. And we're just adding a little bit of that to the bottom there. Then we're going to take our blender and we're going to blend everything. Now my blender has a little bit of that dark brown on it still, so that's okay. So mine is going to be darker than yours. Okay. And you can kind of smooth out areas if you want, especially down at the bottom if you want it to be like a crispy line. But we're going to be adding, go back to that black, and we're going to be outlining the bottom of our candle. And you can go a little bit thicker if you want, because this is like our shadow. All right, now I'm going to additionally just very lightly come a little bit down with my Silky Black, but I'm hardly touching anything. Like I'm hardly putting any pressure. Then I'm going to take my red chalk and very lightly come up the sides because our table's reflective, so it will also reflect the color. Now again, if you are using a different colored pencil, you can use that. Now again, I'm so lightly shading this in. I'm like hardly touching it. And you don't even have to go all the way to the top. We're going to be blending that, including the black. Ta-da, ta-da. Now, I'm going to use my dirty spreader. Well, nope, not yet. Sorry. Jumping ahead of myself. Now I'm going to use my 4B pencil. And I'm going to do some shapes inside. But I'm going to leave a little bit of space for a flame. So it's that rounded shape. Okay. Now I'm going to come up the side of the glass, but I'm not going all the way to the edge. So notice, I don't go all the way to the rim, I don't go all the way to the sides, and I come down. And I'm just going to lightly fill that in. I'm going to do the same for the top. I'm not going to go all the way. Just leave a little bit of space. And I'm going to leave a little bit of space for the flame. Then we're going to use our spreader. We're going to spread that in. Then I'm going to take my dirty red spreader and spread in the bottom part. So I'm going to hold that up so you guys can see that better. So see, I captured the flame with edges rather than with lines. And if you have to erase out, you can use my if you've got your 4B pencil still handy, you can do a little tiny wick down at the bottom like that. And let's do the other candle. So, sorry, my table's making noise as my hand moves. And again, I'm just lightly shading that in. because the spreader will get the rest. Okay. And it looks like it does curve in just a little bit here. So I'll do that on both. Just right there where it the candle starts. All right, then I'm going to use my red side dirty spreader because I've been trying to keep my sides separate. And I'm going to fill that in. And use my 4B pencil to do the little wick. Now, in the background, is everybody caught up or close?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the background of the glass, right behind the flames, you're going to just take your kneaded eraser or your regular eraser and just dab right behind it. And that just shows the reflection of the light on the glass. And it's almost like it just has little wings. Now, the last thing we have to do is the shadow of the big vase. Okay, so I want to use like our 6B pencil. And coming from, like, we're gonna come around to the bottom of our base. There's gonna be some shadow there. And then it's gonna actually go back because the light is this side, so the shadow's on the opposite side of this area. So it's actually gonna go behind like this. Now luckily we don't have a huge space here. The shadow does come around a little bit on the side. Not much, but a little bit, because the light is over here. And I'm just going to fill in for visual interest some here. All right, and then we're going to spread it. Spread it. And when you're doing shadows, you can always let your dirty spreader come a little bit past the shadow, and that will add some gradient so that you get a more smooth looking image. In fact, I can actually get that a little bit darker. So I'm going to go in with my 6B pencil again, and I'm going to darken it up a little bit more. And this is it. This is it, guys. Now, if you want, we can take our charcoal, if you have charcoal, or you want to take your black, like we did up here, and we can bring in a little bit of dark. We're just going to round, so we're just going to kind of go in a round. Almost like we're doing the top and the bottom, like that. So see, we're coming in rounded this way and then rounded this way. And I might actually have a little line of dark down here.
Question.
Yeah?
Are we almost done? Because my mom has a class in like 5 minutes.
Yes, we are almost done. So then I'm going to do a little bit up here. We're going to blend that and then we're done. And tell your mom thank you for letting you use her computer.
Okay,
So you'll have to post later
yes.
and talk offline. But thank you very much, Molly, for coming.
Well, I have to go, so...
Yeah. So just post later.
I'll talk to you on my iPad.
Okay, sounds good. One thing I wasn't really paying attention to is the side of my hand, but luckily it doesn't seem like I got a little bit on my hand, but it doesn't seem like I came out relatively unscathed. Okay. I'm just taking my spreader and coming along these lines out here because they're really hard, which means that I didn't ever smooth them. I'm just smoothing them out just a little bit. Okay, so we're done. I'm going to sign this with my 2B pencil. And then we're going to talk about it. So I try to encourage everyone to talk about their artwork and critique their artwork. And critiquing is not a matter of this looks good or it doesn't look good or things like that. That's not very constructive. So constructive feedback is like, here's what's working. Here's what I was going for. Here's what's working. Here is what is not working. And that's what we're going to talk about here. So I'm going to bring up the original image. It was under reference photos. So here's the original image here. So you see we've got our brown vase, our red candles, we've got the reflection, we've got the kind of multicolored feather. All right, now we're going to look at mine. Okay, so first things first is that my vase is a little bit different. Now I said right at the beginning that I was making my vase slightly shaped differently, and I didn't have it coming in nearly as much as the other one. So I'm okay with that. I could still continue to work on my shading on my vase so that it's a little bit smoother. Charcoal actually works really, now we use chalk rather than a colored pencil, which works really well with finger. And in fact, you can kind of dab your finger here and it gives it like kind of a pottery type look. So that's one way you can do it, and then that's what happens to your finger. Good thing I had this paper towel handy. Let's see. Other than that, I think it was pretty successful. I mean, I could do like some more lines in here. You know, I could take my 6B and do some darker lines. And then that will like just further connect everything. But that's not actually necessary. I think it looked fine the way it was. But that just kind of connects all of the bits. Let's see, what else? I think that's pretty much it. This right here is a little bit dark. So I'm gonna just very lightly come around with my eraser and just kind of erase out. Definitely my favorite thing is the candles, like the reflection in the flame. I think that's very effective. I think I don't know, but that's probably my favorite part. This part of the candles I could probably continue to work on and smooth that out a little bit. You know, just kind of blending a little bit more. You know, just make it, I mean, basically just keep working at it and just gradually adding and adding and adding until it's blended. You know, that might give it a little bit more of a finished look, because it does look rather choppy there. Like that. Huh. I also am noticing that the outside of my glass, I'm using my dirty spreader because I don't want it to be too dark, but the outside of my glass probably needs to be darkened up just a little bit. So I'm just using my dirty spreader to do this so it doesn't create such a harsh line. But you could use your number 2 pencil for that. That just gives it some focus. Overall, I think it was pretty successful. So I am going to call this. If anybody else has anything they would like to add, I know that sometimes we add pictures in Discord. Oops. It doesn't look like anybody's shared in ArtCrit just yet. This is where that would be if someone was sharing, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So I am going to go ahead and call the class. So thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you have a fantastic night. I will be back. We are doing a watercolor on Thursday of popsicles, and you can use, I use watercolors that look like, hold on, I've got my, I use these kind of watercolors, like the little tubes. However, you can absolutely use something like this. This, I believe, is Crayola. And what I will teach you to do is how to mix different blues. See, here's a warm blue and there's a cool blue using this same blue. The trick is you just add purple to the warm blue to make it cool. But anyway, you are absolutely welcome to use this, like a Crayola type watercolor set if you have that. Okay. So, thank you for joining me. I hope that if you did follow me, even if you are following me from YouTube or my Twitch VODs, that you can absolutely join the Discord at any time and upload your finished drawing, and we will discuss it at that time. So, or any of your artwork, really. But everyone's welcome. So, thank you again. And I hope to see you Thursday night, same time, 7.